Right, right. To live productive lives. Yeah, something like reparations. What does that?
So Darlene and I are here at Trinity Baptist. No, that's not right. Trinity Episcopalian Church, our home for the Portsmouth Theater Academy, and we're kind of going through
Or
video clips and putting together the 12 Days of Turner, the documentary of that event that we held October 30th through November 11th, 2020. We are at this point putting it together and calculating that we'll have a document that's about 75 minutes that will be available for your viewing pleasure, hopefully sometime next week. We are here. This is April 15th, the day after the anniversary of the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. He was assassinated at Ford's Theater on the evening of April 14th, 1865. And we're going to share the Gettysburg Address that Abraham Lincoln and Sherry Bailey recited together. Abraham Lincoln, of course, played by the flawless Greg Etroff. And that is our tribute to the passing and assassination, this death of Abraham Lincoln in 2021. When we're going to get to that, I don't know, but we will. Right now, just kind of trying to schedule ourselves, kind of organize ourselves. A lot of energy has been put out in the last month or so with getting a proposal to the Virginia Beach Public School System. We're going to be using Abolitionist Museum as a teaching tool for their teachers. We're going to show them how to produce the play in their classrooms. And so for the last, literally the last month, about a team of 6 folks have been working on various components of the package that we've put together in order to do this work. And we finally were able to submit it this past Tuesday. Today is Thursday, so 2 days ago we finally submitted the package, and literally we're exhausted by the time we got there. Hey, Linda. So anyway, that's where we are now. So what are we doing now, Darlene?
Okay, we're here on the day 5.
Day 5 of the 12 Days of Turner.
Yeah.
Interview.
Yeah, you want to redo it?
I'm just kind of interviews. It's misspelled.
Oh, it is?
There's not. Is that an I? The I
Ah, it's a typo.
N.
I did it again.
Well, that's the first thing we'll change. So yeah, we're putting together the 12 Days of Turner, and it will be ready to. It'll be available on the website as well. We're working on updating the website so that it's more reflective of all of the video stuff that we have, and we have some really good stuff. We've had the 12 Days of Turner, of course, as we kind of got a lot of good stuff there. We've been interviewing a lot of folks who come through the doors, and particularly, folks who want to be in the shows on stage and so forth like that. We want to get their interviews, but we want to get everybody who's not going to be on stage as well. The folks backstage are the ones who make sure that the folks on stage can shine. So without them, it doesn't happen. So we're basically interviewing everybody who's a part of the whole family of what we do, our community, our village. And it is growing by leaps and bounds on so many ways. As we kind of take the projects and interests of the folks who are part of our Juneteenth village, we extend ourselves and expand and are able to be a part of many important functions and traditions of the communities that we are associated with. So we are doing that, as well as Miss Drums, Peyton Bailey, is going to be coming through, and the church has been very welcoming in terms of our use here in the building. So upstairs there are lots of empty rooms that we're going to see how we can expand ourselves into those spaces, particularly with Peyton or Miss Drums. She wants to be able to teach the steel pan classes, and that is always an effort that requires lots of space. So we're gonna see about how we can get ourselves set up to do that. I had hoped to be able to announce our schedule for the 2021 season, taking us from now, April, through December of 2021. And it's coming together, but it's going to take a few more days to lock it down. So we're looking at here, darling, what's going on?
Okay, you wanna go back over this one again?
Uh-huh.
Thank you for joining us on the 5th day of 12 days of term.
Vanessa Valentine, junior, but I spent my adult years in Richmond, Virginia.
Okay. And
I work with disabled people, developmental disabled people, government programs, helping them to live a positive daily life. Okay, there are so many people that have disabilities that just they don't go out, or they just stay at home. So my job was to just expose them to different aspects of living a positive, productive daily life. Okay.
That's it right
so
there.
how'd you get into that work? Did you fall into it, or you just chose it? Or?
I started a couple of programs. Really, I started the program because I wanted to get out of the center. So I started a couple of programs, and then other people heard of what I was doing. And so they was like, wow, it was called Enclave. So I take a group of disabled people, and we go out, maybe we cut the grass, or we would do things around that other people that, some people, I'm going to say normal people, would not.
So all of this
do
we don't
job.
need.
So I would take
I don't
my
need
people,
it. All of this gets
and
cut.
we go and do that job. So that
I just wanted like that intro stuff.
So
Okay,
it was
for
just the really a way to get out of the center with my group of people,
What, just for,
and
you
then
wanna cut all,
expose them
all
to a
of it
different
for the 12 days?
life.
For the 12
And
days.
they liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got out, they got to go on the bus and we ride out. Okay, we do the enclave.
Yes, and for the 12 days,
ways to do things.
whenever it's just a kind of interview that's, just happened to happen on one of the 12 days, that's all it is. It's just kind of like on the 12th, welcome to the 10th day. And we have whatever happened on that 10th day. And if it's an interview like that, I just want like a quick little peek of it, to introduce them. And like, something like exactly that,
Let's see, I got people and they were like babies. And I got to elevate them, not gonna use that word, to where they they were independent.
Mhm.
Okay, they were.
Oh, I like that
they would
little
sit
clip right
home
there.
something, they were-
I
when
got to
them,
elevate
they were sitting
them.
home doing nothing. By the time I finished, see, I got people, and they were like babies, and I got to elevate them. Not gonna use that word, to where they were independent.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, they would sit home something. When I got them, they were sitting at home doing nothing. By the time I finished elevating them, they were going to work, and they had bank accounts.
Okay.
They wanted to get a couple of them got their own apartments, and they got their when they got their first paycheck and they got their bank account.
Right.
And so then after they would get their paycheck, then I would take them out to the grocery store.
Mhm.
And how this is how you spend your money.
Mhm.
You know, and we I might go out to eat lunch or something
Mhm.
like that. That's what I do.
Wow.
I trained them to be normal.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
To live productive lives.
Yeah.
Something like reparations. What does that? When I say that term, what does that mean to you?
Oh man, the 40 acres in the middle.
So does that question did I ask that question of most people?
Multiple choice.
Okay.
Not like that.
Hero
No, you asked
or
different questions.
madness.
So that wasn't a common question asked about reparations. Okay.
You got to have a little madness in you. You understand?
Mhm.
I can't say hero.
Mhm.
He might be hero in some people's eyes, but into some people's eyes.
Okay, then I want that piece there where she talks about Nat
I'm
Turner.
gonna say in between.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. And in terms of where we are today in the 21st century, this year 2020, if Nat Turner were here, what would you say to him?
Let's be peaceful about it. Okay.
Let's be peaceful.
Is this one ready to go? Is some more on the end you gotta see?
When you
You
bear
let me know
arms,
if this one is ready to
madness
go.
comes
Okay.
into play.
I know you
Okay,
said.
everybody mad.
You,
If you
I
shoot
know
me,
you
I'ma
said
shoot you. I'ma shoot
your
your
mother
family.
interview was ready.
You know,
Uh-huh.
madness. And
Said,
let's be peaceful about
Okay.
it. Okay. That
Gettysburg Address
That's all.
ready to go.
Uh-huh.
let's push forward.
And this one ready
I
to
come
go.
from the philosophy of
See the
Martin Luther
second
King.
part.
Let's push forward.
Okay.
Mhm.
But let's be peaceful about it. Let's change things, but let's be peaceful about it. That's how I see it.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you for your time here. It's been illuminating, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. You gave me a chance to speak my piece. Okay.
Our email address is juneteenthva19@gmail.com. And of course, I will spell Juneteenth for you. JUNETEENTHVA19@gmail.com. I mean, if we can find, but I think there's several of them. When he goes,
What I got from this is that, as you said when you were sitting here, is that he really did think that he was doing the work of the Lord, that he really did feel that this was his calling. And so much so that he actually convinced others of this same thing. Now, it's already hard enough to do for yourself, but when you are so profound that people actually believe that you are that profound that you can actually convince others to do so too, that's pretty amazing. So the fact that at the end he had almost 50 to 80 men. I'm guessing black and white.
no,
All black.
okay.
Okay, they all were black. Okay, okay. 50 to 80 men. That is something miraculous within itself. Because, like I said, it takes a whole heap to convince others of your vision. And to make
What day is
people
this?
actually believe it so, that they will actually help you
Day 5.
Day 5.
murder and kill.
Mhm.
Not even thinking about their own lives or what could happen.
I had the
So
camera
after
away, I
reading
had
that, I
stuff
truly
the other
believe
camera
that now.
got.
So
Okay.
That's
why I
one of the
got
parts
it
that stood out to me also is that just because you have told this white man of his visions and of his his prophecy, I think they say they refused to baptize him because he spoke out about it in the church.
The baptism was his way. That Turner baptized a white man.
Right. Because they refused to.
Well,
Yeah.
well, they wouldn't let Matt Turner baptize anyone in the church. They didn't consider him, the white community did not consider him a legitimate preacher or priest.
Right, but I think it was read that because he told the white man of this vision, and he was forthcoming about it. The white man that I'm guessing they considered him a because I'm not understanding why
He convinced
the white man. Okay, why the white man got punished? That's what I'm trying to say.
Well, they-
Because he said he told him,
Well, let him talk.
and
Well, the white man wasn't punished. All the white community did was say, no, this black guy can't baptize in the church. What the white man suffered there was a disease. Those growths on his face or on his skin, which was not.
okay, I must have read it differently then. Okay.
So Turner baptized the white man in a stream because they would not let him do it in the church. That was the only thing the text mentioned the white community doing like that. Saying, you can't get baptized in church. Body. And it was rather different than that Turner's. Gabriel Prosser left orders.
Yeah, he was black also.
Yes. Prosser gave orders to his men to be sure to spare all white Baptists and Methodists and Quakers, because in 1800, those dissented congregations were still holding anti-slavery in Virginia. Prosser's rebellion didn't see it as a war between black people and white people. He saw it as a war between the slavers and everyone else. And Turner's rebellion 30 years later, he didn't draw any distinction between white people. Killed them all, including the children, didn't make nice.
Gender, yeah, he didn't matter. Which is why I think he was, well, and also because people like God, no whites died in favor of Prosser, so, the insurrection, the rebellion. And what they did in that terms, insurrection, regardless of race, regardless of age, gender, and that was struck terror in the hearts of all Americans, not just in the South, but it got more to the north and to the west. That this was what serious.
This massacre was going
Yeah,
on.
this is real business here. And what they doubled down on were restrictions as opposed to gradual emancipation, which is one of the cries for. Instead, it became, illegal, even more illegal to teach black to read and write. To teach them, and in the court teaching them, you were punished, and then they were caught learning, they were killed. And that's because that they could read and write. That was, they did not, he was too smart for them, yeah.
Right.
There's actually a marker written down in Norfolk where a white woman was arrested for teaching black students music.
Okay. All right, so that was day 5,
Yeah,
and that it's total about 10 minutes.
yeah.
All right.
This is day 1. This is gonna be long.
How long?
30 minutes. I think 20. See? Yeah, 30.
Day 1.
Hi, thank you for joining us on day 1 of the 12 days of Turner.
It's October 31st. So based on it being October 31st, he was put in prison and given a trial, and then hung him on November 11th. And so that's the 12 days of Turner that kind of gave birth to the title of all of this. But essentially, the goal is to be able to lift up the Nat Turner insurrection and have people examine it from all directions. Because we know that he is considered by many to be a madman, and to others he was a prophet, an agent of survival. And somewhere the truth lies between those two. And we wanted to be able to share that. So today you're listening to the 12 days of Turner for the next 12 days. With an opportunity to participate if you should desire to. We want you to let us know what you think about the Nat Turner insurrection.
I'm proud. We did this, killed this, or not. I'm a murderer. I'm a killer. Right?
Oh, well, yeah, well, of course.
And I was
I'm just having a little bit of trouble believing that also he would have thought, just because he's a man of God, that he would have thought, okay, God wants me to do this. That's something that is a little bit, crass, because the last thing that I feel that God wants is for you to commit the sin that he said is a sin.
Well, that's if you're killing the slave-holding class in the Old Testament world.
Well, yeah, but see, that's the point. Grave is talking, that's what the hypocrisy of grave was. You're talking about a sin that you're also committing too.
Mm-hmm.
But then he was trying to pin Turner as this type of person when he was committing the same sin. But the reason the issue that I'm having is that, people say God told me to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Because as he said, I don't tell you to kill people. That's not my mission. That's not what I was working for.
The Old Testament God does tell people what to do.
Okay. Well, can I?
Yeah.
Sir. I don't know who says this. I don't know who says that. I will not shock the feelings of humility, nor wound afresh the bosoms of the disconsolate sufferers in this unheard and inhumane massacre by detailing the deeds of their feeling like barbarians. There were 2 or 3 who were in the power of these wretches, had they known it, and who escaped in the most provincial manner. Had they known it, and who escaped in such provincial manner. There were 2 whom they thought they left dead on the field at Mr. Parker's, but who were only stunned by the blows of their guns, as they did not take the time to reload when they discharged on them. The escape of a little girl who went to school at Mr. Wallace, and where the children were collecting for that purpose, excited general sympathy. As their teacher had not arrived, they were at play in the yard, and seeing the Negroes approach, she ran up on the dirt chimney, such as are common to all confiscations, and remained there unnoticed during the massacre of the 11 that were killed at this place. She remained on her hiding place till just before the arrival of the party who were in pursuit of the murderers. When she came down and fled to a swamp where a mere child as she was, with the horrors of the late scene before her, she lay concealed until the next day. When seeing a party go up to the house, she came up, and on being asked how she escaped, replied with the utmost simplicity, "The Lord helped her." She was taken up behind a gentleman of the party and returned to the arms of her weeping mother. Miss Whitehead concealed herself between the bed and the mat that supported it, while they murdered her sister in the same room. Without discovering her,
Miss Gray talking at that
talking
point.
about what happened on the insurrection, whether it be on White Town, that's what it's about. So let me just put this into the mix. Every story got 2 sides, and then there's like the truth, right? So if his truth, if his side is God told me this is, I've witnessed this for 10 years of my adult life. I've prayed to my God, I've read my word, right? And now after signs and wonders and years of becoming this man, I've baptized the white man, right? So my relationship with Most High should be questioned. And in theory, his actions should be questioned, right? Because we can't test his heart, right? We can't question his heart. He baptized a white man, right? I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that he's always been.
Because if I don't do it, you know, we would never get to a place where I want to be. But the key part of that is that this was all his thinking. I don't feel like it had anything to do with God in particular. This was something that he wanted. Yeah.
But he was seeing signs from God.
Right.
He felt that he was being guided by God.
Any truth at all in Ray's narrative, that he believed he was taking orders from God, and God wanted him to go Old Testament.
Right.
There are.
If we want to play out that scenario, that scene, then why do we sit there and punish others who say the same thing? We had a man just in Texas say that the reason that he ran up into a pizza place,
I told you.
because I told him to.
But this is what sets Matt Turner, you
This is
know,
what I was
above
about to say, what I was trying to say.
the regulars, you know, he was extraordinary in terms of his path. I mean, so I don't negate, I believe in his path was righteous from the beginning. He starting at the age of 4, he was able to read.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so he's been anointed in some way.
Right.
He was able to talk about things that happened
Which is
before he
why
was
when you
born.
say, does baptizing a white man give him that accreditation? Yes.
Or their
To put your
It's
hands
on the
on a
list
white
of
man
things.
in the water, in 18, whatever it was, amongst witnesses who are believers, yes. Who's to say he ain't the absolute first black man to touch a white man in the water ever in
Because
history?
saints
Recorded history.
in Catholicism, you have to go through the checklist, you know, in terms of being able to be declared a saint. And I think if that were the case in Christianity before, it probably.
Right.
That
Same that time,
had a
right.
checklist that would to be checked off, and he would qualify, you know, as, I mean, they call him a prophet, you know, and.
He had his hands on the white man in the water, but was.
So, you know, you're questioning whether or not he should be allowed to be considered a hero or a madman.
I'm questioning whether or not we should go off the opinions of a person or a man. It's just like, okay, put it like this. It's just like this. I can sit here and I can run into a burning building and save 5 to 10 kids.
Mm-hmm.
And when I come out of that burning building and I save 5 of them 10 kids, to the world, it may seem like, okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm that hero.
Mm-hmm.
He's a hero by the standards of him saving 5 to 10 kids.
Mm-hmm.
But to me, it's a completely different thing. I'm not, as a matter of fact, great, I say it on my wall. When I do video floor, I say it all the time. You say I was a hero, I just call myself
A patriot.
a patriot. And the reason that I say that is because those are the words of other people and the way that they think. But I don't feel like that's the way of, you know, how.
So you said that Turner did not feel that he was a hero?
I don't think, well, no, I'm saying that if other people feel you are something, but that doesn't mean that he felt the same way.
Right. So he may not have felt that he was a hero.
Or he may not even felt that he was a prophet. That's what I'm saying.
I think he did think he was a prophet.
I think there was no
Because
way
he
around
was
it.
preaching
The
and
word.
spreading the word, you
Right.
know, and,
Until his death.
and again, the signs that he received, I mean, blood on corn, you know, what looked like dew or drops of blood on corn, the solar eclipse, just, you know, there were a number of things. And when he ran away and escaped, and he was gone for about 30 days, about a month or so, and then he came back. And everyone was like, why would you come back, you know? And, you know, so I think that there's some extraordinary, you know, attributes to him that lift him into that realm of, you know, prophet.
I think that all the evidence we have points to him believing he was a prophet. Of course, sort of Charles Manson. So,
And I was about to say that too. I was about to say that too. He didn't kill one. So did Billy, the dude from the Killings. Billy, you know, everybody took the poison and died.
Jim
Jonestown.
Yeah, Johnstown. Yeah, he thought he was a prophet
But
too.
see, that's exactly to my point.
Which is what you
You
Yeah, I
couldn't
agree.
say my point. Yeah, that's what I'm
Right.
saying. That exactly to my point. Any person can believe or say that they are a prophet
Mhm.
because of certain actions in their lives.
Mhm.
Oh, I mean, you see it all the time, especially within churches.
Mhm.
Okay, I did this, or yeah, I talked to this, or yeah, I did this, or yeah, I did that.
And false prophets who are watching programming
from Juneteenth being.
That's all of 12 they want?
American heroes from the books of slavery, for our chains, for black.
So we're dealing with here, basically, at least four perspectives on Nat Turner. There's how he viewed himself.
And
There's
then
how
Right.
other African Americans viewed him at the time. There's how white Americans viewed him at the time.
Right.
And there's how we look, viewed him looking at him from the distance of several generations.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, I had a friend, that asked me, would you have joined the rebellion, you know, and, when I said I didn't know, she got upset with me. Because she wanted me to say, in fact, that no, that's not, violence is not the answer. You know, and maybe in the 21st century, that's a viable option, but, you know, back then, it would have been like, you know, you're with us or you're not, you know.
Well, I can contest to that because I do believe that back then it was dog and dog.
Okay.
I really do. That's something I do believe. You know, I really do believe back then it was dog and dog. Either you was with us or you was against us.
Right.
And during that time and period, it was pretty much like that. If, you know, you want to know the truth.
Right.
Oh, are you going over here or are you going over here?
Right.
And even then, you know, I feel like even some blacks probably would choose the other side because they thought they had a better chance of surviving than they did if they rebelled.
Previous uprisings in Virginia, the first big one was Bacon's Rebellion in 1676.
Right.
And that was poor whites and blacks together against the white ruling class.
Yeah, but you forgot also how that ended.
Oh yeah, the ruling class won.
Right.
But still, I mean, still.
Yeah, but see, but is that?
But it scared the expletive leader out of the ruling class. And so they spent the next, actually, even now, I should say the next 350 years, because they're still doing it. Ever since then, the upper classes worked as hard as it can to put blacks and poor whites on opposite sides.
Hispanic.
And they were also oppressing Indians. I mean, that was the whole point.
They were
of
us.
the rebellion.
Actually, to make it even more complicated, the blacks and the poor whites wanted to take more land from the Indians, and the white aristocracy wanted to leave the Indians what they already had, because they were saying, look, we've already got other plantations in the east,
Exactly.
and we want to trade with the Indians to make even more money. We don't care if you poor guys out west get more land so you can have plantations of your own. We're fine with you having small farms or no farms, letting the Indians keep the land. So
I mean, there's
it's
still going on
almost
in terms
complicated.
of how the upper class, the ruling class is able to manipulate the other 90%, because they you know, basically give you just kind of, but that's the whole thing about the Constitution is about, you know, we can all have this, and that's not the case. That's not the case at all. But they set it up so that that's the romanticized view of the Constitution is that if I work hard and play by the rules, I can also achieve this, and that's just not me.
And that's the whole point. Since you just said one key factor, plague. And that's.
Which they can constantly kind of like massage to make everyone.
There are always a tiny minority who do cross that divide. Andrew Jackson was born effectively homeless. His parents were caling on the couch in their relatives' houses on the Carolina frontier. They didn't have their own place when he was born. And he, through a combination of talent and luck and the right circumstances, moved to the right place at the right time and got filthy rich himself and ended up with this magnificent plantation and beautiful mansion. Now, and he ended up president of the United States. Now, 299,999,999 out of 300 million of us are not going to do that. But since there's the one guy who does, they can always say, hey, it's possible.
And that means it's possible, so
Yeah,
there you go.
And it is possible, it's just really, really, really improbable.
That's the point.
But that's always been the message. I think it was Sinclair Lewis who said, there are no poor people in America as far as they're concerned, they're just temporarily embarrassed millionaires.
I didn't believe that.
I like that.
Can't believe that.
And yeah, there are these handful of paths to wealth and power. There's always going to be somebody who invents the Apple computer in his garage, or who can hit a curveball 450 feet and become a baseball player who makes $10 million a year, or who sings like an angel and writes beautiful songs and becomes the next Beyonce. But there are only a tiny handful of them.
But the only issue that I have is that when you're a person of color, it always seems to be subsidized rather than appreciated. And the reason I say this is because if you want to get ahead in if you're a person of color, we want you black, but we don't want you too black. Or we want you this way, but we don't want you that way. So it seems like it's always got to be subsidized or categorized in some sort of way. Why can't it just be, it's just like when you go for a job interview, a person named Lakeisha Jenkins won't probably have a good shot than a person named Rebecca Thompson. And it's because they think, oh, Lakeisha, ghetto, trash, she's not qualified enough. Rebecca, oh, wholesome, nice name. And that's what gets me. It's still that way today, and that's what I have an issue with. It just seems like that when we talk about black progression, it seems like it always has to be subsidized in some way. It can't just be.
And it's not just black people. If you're Jose Cruz, you're going to get farther if you change your name to Ted.
Is that what it did?
I think Ted Cruz did change his name, but it wasn't originally Jose. Bobby Jindal, the Indian American governor of Louisiana, did have an ethnic Indian name, which I'm blanking on at the moment. And he chose Bobby because he was a fan of the Brady Bunch.
But he was able to play the part.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And if you go back, it's not true for people. Well, it's not very, I should say it's not very true for people.
See, I don't feel like we need all of this,
Jewish
though.
Now, if you're Jewish, you are conditionally white. Sometimes they.
A lot of it we do. I would like to keep. How long? This is like 30 minutes. You're saying?
Yeah,
How much have we watched so far?
we got 12 more minutes to go.
All right, like this part here. I think that I want to take that out.
About the name, all of it.
Yeah. Bobby Jindal, yeah, we don't really need all of that.
Consider you white, and sometimes they consider you just as much an untermensch as anyone from Nigeria or Afghanistan or any other place that's we Jews constantly get pushed in and out of the privileged elites and never know which way the wind is going to blow this week. It's and whether that's a better problem to have or worse problem to have than people who are consistently out in the east know where they stand is a matter of endless debate. But
That actually makes me think about, I have a friend, a colleague who really is frustrated by the fact that the whole Muslim presence in this country is never talked about. We talk about Jews, but we only talk about black folks, and we look at them as being Christians. And the whole influence of Islam in America has been totally ignored. And here we are now, we have an administration that has Muslim bans, and people don't have a clue about what the history is in terms of getting to that point.
yeah, and the influence of Islamic Americans is increasing. Keith Ellison was elected to Congress a few years ago. And what I thought was really interesting about that was, as a black Muslim, he won a heavily white and Jewish district in Minnesota. So there are people who can see past those categories and judge you based on what you do, not your demographic group.
Yeah, I think one of the issues though is that
the way that things get reported. It's either extremist right or extremist left, as opposed to being kind of, moderate and just kind of, fair at all sides there. And we just kind of are losing that perspective, I think, on every issue, everything is so polarized that it's hard to get to any kind of real truth about any of this. And people are coming from such a defensive, posture here that,
Was that defense, defensive with I mean, you can have a great idea, but if some people don't like a certain way or a certain manner that it's way they look at the whole thing, it's just like Black Lives Matter. We did Black Lives Matter, but when Black folks found out that it was starting about Mexicans. Oh, no, it wasn't being part of it.
really, is that
And
wrong?
And that's the whole point. See, they're forgetting all about the black part because now they only think about the sexuality part. And I'm like, how does that really work? And so it's
intersectionality. There are, it's not a two-dimensional line where you're privileged or you're not. It's this multi-dimensional lattice where you're privileged in some ways and unprivileged in others. There is white privilege, there is wealth privilege, there is male privilege, there is straight privilege, there is cisgender privilege, there's Christian privilege, there's newborn privilege, and most of us have some of these privileges, but not all of them. And not all of these privileges are equally beneficial in our society. But
you know, has the least privilege in this country. Black people.
Hi, my name is Sherry Bailey, and I'm the founder of the Team Virginia. Our mission is to help America heal from the wounds of slavery without shame or blame.
So when we get to this, that means we're going to a new day, right?
No, we're ending.
We're ending the day one.
Yeah,
All right,
when you get to this second one.
okay.
To be designated as a national venue for
And
conversation.
so now we're gonna go into the day two,
Anti-racist policies.
right?
Baltimore has a
Day
special
two is
place
the interview.
in American history.
Say that again?
It is where
Day
in
two is the
1619,
Okay,
the first
all right.
of the Africans who came into this country were settled at Jamestown. 248 years later, in that same location, you had the first of the enslaved who gained their freedom at Fort Monroe. So because of this history, Fort Monroe has a special place in American history, and we believe that it should be elevated to the same status as the historic triangle of Jamestown, Yorktown, and Colonial Williamsburg. Without telling the full story of America's founding, without Fort Monroe, we're not telling the complete story, the truth about American history.
I just think it's because of
no, here it is. I thought it was over.
Oh, this is still part of day one? Okay, this definitely needs to go.
Because they're women. I mean, just think about it. You have and some, actually, you want to go through some of the equally to it. You know, they dress sexy or they do this.
This is about hair.
Just to earn the promotion or just to get the
I
attention.
don't know if you want that part in there, but this is
Even though
about
they never
hair.
mean that.
Yeah.
But they do it because they figure, okay, this is the only way that I can get in.
I mean, black women are vilified for our hair growing out of our skull. Our head. I mean, who else has to deal with that? When did it become a crime to have your hair coming out of your head? Your head. And yet it is. It's been criminalized to the point we have to go to court to get permission to have our hair on our head. That's not right. Whatever.
there's a horror movie about that coming out.
Yes, I heard about that.
Sounds like bad hair. It sounds like
Right.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it got a rough review from some folks that I respect, but I do want to say it because the question I asked again: why is it a crime for my hair to come out of my head, out of my scalp?
It was a huge deal in I think 1966 when a black woman with natural hair beat out women with processed hair in a beauty contest. Was that at Howard University? It's been a long time since I've seen the documentary that talked about it.
Yeah, I don't. Howard would be a good guess in my mind, but I don't know where that was. things. But,
So,
I know as recently as like last year, there was lawsuits.
yeah, we can take out, basically, why is it a crime to have my hair grow out of my head?
Want it out?
Then everything after that is pretty much, you know, well, or save as much as you can, but I don't want it to be redundant. So I'll let you decide what needs to
Where,
happen there.
Black people claiming victory because
That's
they're
day
not
two?
allowed to have their hair natural.
That's day one.
You had an epidemic in this country where you have these videos, which I really.
Well, then,
This happened.
have the
But it-
identifier, you know, hi, my name is Sherry Bailey. Only do that between days,
Okay.
okay? Because whenever you do it within the day, I keep thinking it's the next day coming after that, but just do it between the days
Okay.
and.
Whites cutting dreads from black hair.
I missed that one.
I don't see how.
Yeah, that's horrifying, and also news to me. I don't know why that hasn't gotten more attention.
I don't understand why I have that more attention too, but this is mostly happening in schools.
Actually, I do know a little bit about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
right. And it was happening mostly.
So, is it other school children doing it, or is it teachers doing
No,
it?
it's the administration.
It was administration
Yeah.
cutting the dreads because they think that, I don't know, dreads was being nappy or not. I don't know what the issue was with
No
dreads.
good reason, that's
Right.
a guy.
But they was actually taking the scissors, filming it, them cutting their dreads just so they can have a position on the team or
Mhm.
something like that. And I was like, what in the hell? And I don't even understand how this was even backed up
Mhm.
by administration. Like, are you serious? This
Well, I mean, you're dealing with people who are in these roles and they're racist and they're part of the systemic racist system. And so they don't even know why they're so wrong, you know? They're thinking they're like doing their jobs and
and I'm
everything.
like, are you serious right now?
And they are.
And then you had an epidemic of whites calling cops blacks for doing.
Driving while black, picnicking while black,
Right.
reading while black.
So,
Right.
follow order.
But yet our wonderful president, there's no systematic racism in the world today.
Yeah.
You had all of that happen, and you still say that. Okay,
Mhm.
maybe it's just me.
So there are good people on both sides, you know, so there you go. There you go.
The next good Klansman I think will be first.
But he's out there, waiting for you to come across him.
So I don't think we need anything
I think
here
they're good ex-Klansmen. I believe people
after
perform,
hair.
But
Well, I've seen a whole bunch
This
of
is
them
still
on
day
YouTube,
one.
You know, actually,
I don't think we need any of this after.
What's really funny about
Hair.
and I
The
see,
hair
you know,
segment.
it's pretty much the same thing about blacks with gangs. You know, they join them, they pick on the meat, they pick on the uneducated, they pick on the less fortunate,
Mhm.
and they put them into this society and think, okay, this is what you need to be. We love you, we can take care of you. We do this. And when he was talking about, that's exactly how he got recruited. Because he said he was from an abusive home.
Mhm.
He said that, so we didn't feel love. So he said when the guy came up and offered him the opportunity of a family and love, that's what he felt. And he said that's why he joined the Klan. And I didn't even think about that. I said, that's pretty interesting.
yeah, the same reason people join street gangs in the inner city.
Right.
Actually, I can't think of one historical example of the Klansman. There was a guy in Alabama who joined the Klan so he could get elected to political office, and once he got in, he started voting for civil rights legislation.
When was this?
1920s.
Okay.
So yeah, you've got to go back quite a way. But yeah, Hugo Black, he was a Klansman. He supported the New Deal and civil rights legislation when he became a senator. He got appointed to the Supreme Court and voted in the majority for desegregation in Brown versus Board of Education. So
And that's kind of history that I feel like this is what Juneteenth Virginia is all about, in terms of like bringing that to the forefront. Because we get all of the stereotypes and, you know, just kind of rehashing of, you know, of what we already know, and but none of the stuff that kind of, ultimately can help move people to the next level in terms of this understanding.
Oh, trust me, I get that all the time. Every single time. And it's becoming a little bit ridiculous now because I get it all the time. Oh, Janelle, that's a way you can live in projects. you don't talk like them.
Mhm.
You don't speak like them.
Mhm.
Oh, Janelle, I thought you was white over the phone. Or, I mean, I get it all, I get it all the freaking time. I remember when I did a play, it was so funny. And I did a play, and they heard my voice. And when I came up there, they were like, who's he? Who the hell is he? Right. Who the hell is this?
Where you come from?
I said, sir, I'm Janelle.
Yeah, we don't need all of this.
No, sir, I'm not.
There are
Darlene?
people who are
So we don't need any of that.
Georgia in places like Syria, in the
Right.
United States,
Right.
not so much. And it's like, oh, your name is Abdullah, are you from Sweden?
Right. So it's just, I
So you want to cut out the hair?
I want to keep hair, and I want to keep the hair segment.
You want, what Jamel was talking about hair, and what, he was talking about.
No, yeah,
Them
after,
cutting off the dreads?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, that's basically it then.
Hello, thank you for joining us for the 6th day of 12 days of term.
Can you stop for a second? So I can get my script. What's going on? Is there a few-
So the way we just did it, and Matt read through the whole thing, is there a section, if there's a section in there that you want the narrator to grab, I can do it.
Right, but I'm pretty sure they did it for self-satisfaction too.
Yeah, I mean, we can,
I mean, we can just assume because we don't have that much information, but if I'm gonna join someone's army and kill some, and be in the act of killing someone,
This is where I want that to start.
is damn sure gonna be for self-satisfaction myself. I know it's supposed to be.
You don't want the, other part, the part where you start talking.
No, just start it here.
Acts army and it's saying,
Well, they believe his cause.
Right, so it's definitely gonna be for self-satisfaction. I just was wondering about Will because, he was a killing machine. So I just wondered how come he wasn't spoke more of.
Right, again, because this is Matt's story, Will is a lieutenant,
Right.
in the army, and, we're not gonna get much more, because it's, the Nat Turner insurrection,
Right, I think the fact that he actually took the war of all the responsibility and didn't even try to put anything on Will, I think that says a lot. That, this is what he really wanted, because, if that was me, I probably said to my Will.
Will did,
Will did most of the killing.
No, I think the question of whether or not Nat Turner was, anointed in terms of his mission in life,
Right.
is what you're getting.
Who's that in the shirt back there?
And,
Who's that in the blue and white
was he
stripes?
That's me.
or,
I don't know how I got the video.
That's why I was like, what's Darlene doing in the video?
It said, one thing it said about that is that he often got, and this was before the resurrection, he often got, one of the stories that we tell about that is that he often got slaves together. And normally he got them together for meetings. And,
which became against the law after the insurrection.
right, exactly. And so, that just goes to show you, that, this was something that he truly believed in, it wasn't a winner.
Right. No. It was
Right.
not a win.
Right.
Absolutely not. I mean, as they said, he was marked from birth almost. I mean, from the time he was 4 years old, people saw him as being.
Right.
Hello. Saw him as being the leader go through this, trial part here.
You know what, you're gonna become a kangaroo.
There are worse things. You become a kiwi fruit.
Or I would rather be a tangerine than an absolute.
Understood. Understood. Yeah, so I guess this is the trial, and,
Then we gotta see how you wanna work it.
I think it is, this is Mr. Gray is giving us this last bit here.
And I think it's the reason for that is because I'm reading this as like I'm reading from, the script instead of reading as him. And I think that's what the problem may be with me.
Well, you have to read the script at this point, because you gotta figure out what, you gotta get to know the script.
Right.
Because once you are more, familiar with it, that's gonna, change in terms of how you relate to the character.
Right.
Yeah, right now you're trying to get the language down, and I think you are, but I don't want you to make it, because you have an essence that is very much natural in my reading of the situation. So, yeah.
Okay, so you want to take what it is, talking about this. Okay, hold on. We remained sometime at the barn, but we paraded. I formed them in a line as soldiers, and after carrying them through all the maneuvers, I was master of the march. Master of march them off to Mrs. Sabo Francis. Okay, so you want to talk about 600 yards distance?
The programming that you are watching now.
So most of that, that we just saw,
12 days of turn.
I don't think we need.
Follow the last days of insurrectionist Nat Turner. Nat Turner on August 21st.
We've got a lot, it's Jamel, and we've got a lot of him in day one.
Okay. So, you want me to cut Jamel some?
Yeah.
Okay.
First battle of the Civil War, or as we call it here, the War Against Slavery, WAS. The War Against Slavery started with the Nat Turner insurrection on August 21st, 1831, and did not end until 1877, over 30 years later.
Fourscore and 7 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation here, basically, at least four perspectives on natural. There's how he did himself. And there's how other African Americans viewed his design. There's how white Americans viewed his design. Right. And there's how people viewed him looking at him from the distance of several generations. Right. Okay. Sometimes they consider you white, and sometimes they consider you just as much an untermensch as anyone from Nigeria or Afghanistan or any other place that's out. We Jews constantly get pushed in and out of black quarters. Yeah, you were black also. Yes. Cross-serving quarters to his men to be sure to spare all white Baptists and Methodists and Quakers, because in 1800 those descendant congregations were still holding anti-slavery and Prosper's rebellion didn't see it as a war between black people and white people. He saw it as a war between the slavers and everyone else. And Turner's rebellion 30 years later, he didn't draw any distinction between white people, kill them all, including the children, didn't take place.
Take from the top?
Yeah.
The Commonwealth versus Nat Turner. charged with making insurrection and plotting to take away the lives of diverse free white persons and etc. on the 22nd of August, 1831.
The court, composed of citizens of Southampton County, having met for the trial of Nat Turner, the prisoner was brought in and arraigned, and upon his arraignment pleaded not guilty, saying to his counsel that he did not feel so. Not one of them awoke.
Greetings. We are here on the 10th day of the 12 days of Turner. The title of this event comes from the fact that Nat Turner was captured on October 30th, given a trial, and hung on November 11th. So the 12 days of Turner reflect that historical fact. And today, as we continue with our goal of talking with the folks who are involved with the 12 days of Turner, we're here with Greg, who will introduce himself and talk about how he became involved with this project.
Thank you. My name is Greg Eatroff, and I have some training as an actor, but I'm primarily a historian.
I thought it was kind of funny, actually.
Especially in 19th century American history.
I thought he had got that.
I first became professionally involved with Sherry when she recruited me to perform in the play Abolitionist Museum as Abraham Lincoln. And several weeks ago, she contacted me and told me about this Turner project and asked me to portray Thomas Gray, the attorney who interviewed Turner and published his confessions in the
I'll see if
1830s.
2.1 is the
During
right
the
one.
Civil War,
2.1.
particular interest of mine, and I've been focusing more and more heavily on the Whig era of America, the 1830s to the 1850s. I was quite excited to participate in this project that was set in the 1830s.
Whig, that's W-H-I-G?
Correct.
Okay, Whig, they no longer exist, so how did they come about and where did they go?
The Whigs were the original opponents of the Democratic Party.
Okay.
At the start of the national period, there were two political parties, the Federalists and a political party who nobody can agree on the name of anymore. At the time, they called themselves Republicans, but we don't like to do that because it confuses them with the current Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
Some people call them the Democratic Republicans, some call them the Jeffersonian Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
But at any rate, the Federalists and this other party battled it out, and the
Please see if
Federalists
it's
lost
2.1, sir.
Mm-hmm.
and pretty much faded out of existence by
But I know I had cut all that stuff out, or tried to.
Well, he jumped back in, found his way back.
407 years ago, our fathers brought forth on this continent a new nation here, basically, at least four perspectives on nature. There's how he did himself.
And
There's how
Right.
other African Americans viewed his design. There's how white Americans viewed his design.
Right.
And there's how people view them looking at him from the distance of several generations.
Right. Okay.
Sometimes they consider you white, and sometimes they consider you just as much an untermensch as anyone from Nigeria or Afghanistan or any other place on the continent. We Jews constantly get pushed in and out through left orders.
Yeah, you was black also.
Yes, Prosser gave orders to his men to be sure to spare all white Baptists and Methodists and Anglican faithers, because in 1800, those dissenting congregations were still holding anti-slavery and freedom. Prosser's rebellion didn't see it as a war between black people and white people. He saw it as a
Can you
war
bring down the background
between
music?
slavers and everyone else. And
Yeah.
Turner's rebellion 30 years later, he didn't draw any distinction between white people. Kill them all, including the children, didn't take place.
Take it from the top?
Yeah.
The Commonwealth versus Nat Turner, charged with making insurrection and plotting to take away the lives of diverse free white persons and etc. on the 22nd of August, 1831.
The court, composed of citizens of Southampton County, having met for the trial of Nat Turner, The prisoner was brought in and arraigned, and upon his arraignment pleaded not guilty, saying to his counsel that he did not feel so.
One of the movement, not one of the movement.
Greetings. We are here on the 10th day of the 12 days of Turner. The title of this event comes from the fact that Nat Turner was captured on October 30th, given a trial, and hung on November 11th. So the 12 days of Turner reflect that historical fact. And today, as we continue with our goal of talking with the folks who are involved with the 12 days of Turner, we're here with Greg, who will introduce himself and talk about how he became
I wanna make a
involved
cut
with
there.
this project.
Darlene?
My name is Greg Eatroff.
Well, yeah, what came from
I have some training as an
before
actor, but I'm
today?
primarily a historian with a specialty in 19th century American history. I first became professionally involved with Sherry when she recruited me to perform in the play Abolitionist Museum as Abraham Lincoln. And several weeks ago, she contacted
Can we,
me about this Turner project.
backtrack so I can show you
and
what
asked me
I want to go?
portray Thomas Gray, the attorney who interviewed.
Okay.
On the 10th day,
Don't need
12
that.
days of Turner.
Don't need it on the 10th day.
Title of the
Okay.
This event comes from the fact that Nat Turner was captured on October 30th,
Yeah, I don't need any of that.
given a trial, and hung on November 11th. So the 12 days of Turner reflect that historical fact. And today,
That's where I wanted to pick
as
it up.
we continue with our
You wanna pick it up at today?
On to the right.
of talking with the folks who are involved with the 12 days of Turner, we're here with Greg, who will introduce himself and talk about how he became involved with this project.
Thank you. My name is Greg Eatroff, and I have some training as an actor, but I'm primarily a historian with a specialty in 19th century American history. I first became professionally involved with Sherry when she recruited me to perform in the play Abolitionist Museum as Abraham Lincoln. And several weeks ago, she contacted me and told me about this Turner project and asked me to portray Thomas Gray, the attorney who interviewed Turner and published his confessions in the 1830s. American Civil War are a particular interest of mine, and I've been focusing more and more heavily on the Whig era of America, the 1830s to the 1850s. I was quite excited to participate in this project that was set in the 1830s.
WIG, that's W-H-I-G?
Correct.
Okay, WIG, they no longer exist, so how did they come about and where did they go?
The Whigs were the original opponents of the Democratic Party.
Okay.
Stop.
At the start of the national period,
That's all we need with that.
there were two political parties, the Federalists and a political party who nobody can agree on the name of anymore. At the time, they called themselves Republicans, but we
Yeah,
don't need to
so
do
we don't
that.
need any of this. I don't need any of this.
With the current Republicans.
Mhm.
Oh, those were 2.1 comes in, okay.
Some people call them the Democratic Republicans, some call them the Jeffersonian Republicans.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But at any rate, the Federalists and this other party
I don't know what's wrong.
battled it out, and the Federalists
Huh?
lost completely
Mhm.
and pretty much faded out of existence by the 1820s.
It's all of this is
Problem
gone.
is, when a political party doesn't
Well,
have
that
anyone to
out.
fight anymore, it makes new enemies and starts to fight internally.
Mhm.
And the Republicans fractured into, well, several competing camps who eventually coalesced behind Andrew Jackson as the Democratic Republicans and Henry Clay and a few others as the National Republicans. The
Okay.
Democratic Republicans shortened their name to the Democrats.
Okay.
The National Republicans eventually chose the name Whig because there was a British political party, the Whigs,
Nope.
who were opponents of the absolute power of the king.
Okay.
And the Whigs were presenting themselves as opponents of Andrew Jackson, who they felt was behaving more like a monarch and less like a traditional American president election.
Hmm.
The Democrats were, or at least tried to be, the party of the common man, though they were also the party of wealthy cotton exporting planters.
Mhm.
The Whigs presented themselves as
Don't need any
a
of
party
this.
of traditional American Republican values
Mhm.
and were associated with
I mean, you'll save the footage and everything, right? Okay.
aristocratic rule.
Okay.
And so they duked it out for about 20 years or a bit more and fought primarily over economic issues, whether the federal government should fund railroads, what kind of tax structure to have,
Mhm.
that sort of thing. And also about who should run the country. The Democrats were more interested in giving the vote to the common man, at least if he was white, and the Whigs were more interested in linking the vote to property ownership, having a stake in society.
Okay.
And we're okay with including the small number of property owning blacks in that.
Mhm.
Though there were people on both sides of that party divide who
Mhm.
didn't want to do it quite that way. And at first, both parties tried to straddle the slave issue.
Mhm.
And after the Mexican War, the compromises they worked out broke down more and more.
The Mexican War was what, when?
1846 to 1848.
Okay.
Basically, we decided we wanted a Pacific port. Mexico wouldn't sell it to us, so we invaded them and took half their country.
Manifest Destiny at work.
Yes.
Yeah, I do want something like that.
Everything from Texas to California used to be Mexico, and now it isn't.
Right.
This interview at the table so much.
Okay.
We're talking this week about Nat Turner's uprising. And in my experience, very few people are familiar with the deeper background that led to it. The history of race relations in the late colonial and early national periods is a lot more complicated than most people are aware of. History doesn't move in a straight line. You often have, it's much more often periods of reform and then reaction, a pendulum swinging back and forth. And when people like Nat Turner act, it's in the context of being aware of which way the pendulum is swinging and has been swinging over the course of their lives. So in Virginia in the colonial period, you had a series of increasingly draconian laws to control the growing black population throughout the 17th and 18th centuries. And a lot of that went back to Bacon's Rebellion in 1676, in which white indentured servants and black indentured servants and slaves often combined.
I want most of
to fight
this
against
talking about
white
Nat Turner.
elites, leading the planters to say, we can never let this happen again. We need to get the poor whites on our side by making color a more important dividing line than wealth. And that continued until the American Revolution, when the colonial elites rebelled against the British elites and needed the support of the common people, and also needed to justify their actions, both to the international community and in their own minds, and built a lot of that on Enlightenment ideas about human rights, which was a relatively new way of looking at the world, or at least bringing back some old classical concepts that had fallen out of favor for a long time. And once you say all men are created equal, it becomes much harder to justify treating another human being as a farm animal.
That's the end of that.
And a lot of the revolutionary leaders took what they were saying seriously enough that they did.
Hello.
Hey.
Hey.
I'm leaving to Beach now. Well, I'm headed that way, so.
Okay.
The way I go, I'll probably be there in like 30 minutes or something. Maybe less.
Okay. See you in a few.
Alright.
Just come to the conclusion slavery was wrong and they should work to get rid of it.
And yet,
You had a burst of idealism in the 1770s, 80s, and into the 1790s, where some states did abolish slavery, or at least pass laws that would cause it to gradually fade out. And even other states like Virginia, North Carolina, well, not going as far as to outlaw slavery, did take some cautious anti-slavery steps. In Virginia, the colonial period they put a lot of barriers in the way of any individual master who wanted to free his slaves and bring them into the community as citizens. In the 1780s, Virginia got rid of those laws and said, we're not going to force abolition on anyone, but we are going to accept emancipation from any planters who really do buy into Jefferson's rhetoric about all men being created equal. And you got a major growth in the free black population in places like Virginia and Maryland.
really, when you say major, what does that mean?
200 free blacks, maybe a couple of thousand, to 83,000 in Maryland and 60,000 in Virginia by the outbreak of the Civil War.
Okay,
So we are talking orders of magnitude growth.
okay.
Now this is still a very small percentage of total black population in Virginia.
Right.
60,000 free blacks, 490,000 slaves in 1860. In Maryland, it was close to half the black population. 83,000 slaves, 86 to 89, I'm sorry, 83,000 free blacks and 86 to 89,000 slaves. So almost equal by 1860.
That is interesting.
Probably the single most famous image of a group of black soldiers, the line of men in their beautiful frock coats with their sergeant standing in that natty blue jacket, is a picture of the 4th United States Colored Troops who were raised in Baltimore, Maryland.
Okay.
And one figure who isn't in that picture because he was in the company next to that one
I do.
was Charles Field from right here in Portsmouth,
Ah,
who fled slavery in Virginia, went up to Baltimore to join the 4th USCT, and earned a Congressional Medal of Honor during the Civil War.
okay.
All right. The idea behind the republic is you have 3 basic kinds of government.
Don't need
Monarchy,
this.
Aristocracy, and democracy. Monarchy has the advantage of being able to take quick action. It's one person making a decision. Aristocracy has the advantage of an educated
Yep, don't need any of this.
a vested interest in society, surviving long term, being able to make decisions. Democracy has the advantage of the common people looking out for the interests of as wide a number as possible and getting widespread popular support. But all of these governments can degenerate into their evil
Actually, hold on.
Monarchy can become
I do
tyranny.
need this part here when he's defining these terms, monarchy and democracy. I need them for the Virginia Beach School package. So is there a way to kind of mark that and say, and then I'll show you where it goes in terms of the Virginia Beach package.
I can, cut it for you and save it.
Okay.
Aristocracy can become a greedy elite, basically seeing how much they can steal from the rest of society. Democracy can degenerate into mob rule. And the idea behind a republic is that you have elements of all three of these kinds of governments, so you can take advantage of the strength of all three. But all three keep an eye on the other and keep them from degenerating into their evil twin versions.
So that in fact that means, you know what, I gotta
President
send you
can
the you didn't get the Virginia Beach package.
A tyrannical
We just sent that off on Tuesday.
The people and the wealthy elites are both keeping an eye on it. The people can degenerate into a mob if the wealthy, educated elite can provide some sort of check on their excesses. And the educated elite can't turn themselves into a hereditary nobility who steals everything if the people have institutional power and can say, no, you don't get to eliminate taxes for yourself and dump everything on us. That's the theory behind the Republic. Cicero talked about it explicitly in his writing, and the mentor of the Constitution believed that he was right and incorporated those ideas into the Constitution. The president represents the monarchical element, the Senate represents the aristocracy, the House of Representatives represents the democratic element, and they're all supposed to watch each other like a hawk to make sure none of them degenerates.
Okay. See what you learn when you talk to historians, you kind of understand the world a little bit better. And that is the goal, is to be able to take this difficult history and help America heal from the wounds of slavery without shame or blame. Fascinating stuff. Well, we actually have to go to work on, working on Confessions of Nat Turner. It turns out that Thomas Gray has a lot to say in the interviews of the Confessions of Nat Turner. Thank you for being with us today. We look forward to seeing you the next time. Thank you.
Okay. Which day is this?
You know, because the last thing that I feel.
Okay, this is from day one?
No.
That he said.
Oh, okay.
Hey, it's talking, that's what they came up to agree with.
Okay.
You know, you're talking about a sin that you're also committing to. But then he was trying to, Penn Turner.
I'll play interview with Julia, if that's ready to go.
But see, that's exactly to my point. Which my point. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You see, it seems to me that Jamel's stuff, some of his interview is kind of very similar to his kind of day one when he's talking about stuff.
All right, this is a clips. This is just clips from their progression. Like as Greg was going through the days,
Right.
I just put clips of what they were saying.
Okay.
And as he goes through the days,
Okay.
I put clips of what he was saying.
I got you. That's why it seems like there were similarities there. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm like losing my mind.
Oh, I mean, you see it all the time, especially within churches. Okay, I did this, or yeah, I talked to this, or yeah, I did this, or yeah, I did that. And it's false prophets.
Right, but I'm pretty sure they did it for self-satisfaction too.
Yeah, I mean, we can.
I mean, we can just assume because we don't have that much information. But if I'm going to join someone's army, who actually took the board of all the responsibility and didn't even try to put anything on wheel, I think that says a lot. That this is what he really wanted because I did that. As you said when you were sitting there, is that he really did think that he was doing the work of the Lord, that he really did feel that this was his call. And so much so that he actually convinced others, same thing. Now, it's already hard enough to do for yourself, but when you are so profound that people actually believe that you are that profound that you can actually convince others to do so too. That's pretty amazing. So the fact that at the end he had almost 50 to 80 men. I'm guessing black and white. So after reading that, I truly believe that now. So
That's one of the parts that stood out to me also is that just because he had told this white man of his visions and of his his prophecy, I think they said they was. I ordered my man to halt. Halt!
Make Up Juneteenth VA, working with us in some shape, fashion, or form, that we want to kind of understand how that came about. And today, we've got Man of the Hour for the 12 Days of Turner for 2020 here. At our first Days of Turner, 12 Days of Turner event. And what we've been doing is that what has evolved is that we are bringing to the stage the Confessions of Nat Turner, which represent the words that we know for pretty certain that Nat Turner spoke. He was captured on October 30th, and he was interviewed, but he's put in jail and given a trial. And during that week, he was interviewed by Thomas Gray, a lawyer. He'll ask you, how do you feel about how did you get here? Talking about Nat Turner.
I play another character down here in town.
So for this,
and basically, William would.
just started with, how did you get started playing Nat Turner?
Okay.
Was one of the first African-American men here to join an all-white regiment and to also fight in the American Revolutionary War.
Okay.
And he's given credit here in Old Town because he helped win one of the most influential battles in the American Revolutionary War, one of the first battles, which was the Battle of Great Bridge, which he single-handedly fought off a whole platoon of British redcoats on his own.
With one man. And the Battle of Great Bridge would have been about how far from here? That would have been what is now known as Chesapeake?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
All right, so the region that we live in is the Hampton Road, Tidewater, Hampton Roads region. If you're native, you call it Tidewater. If you are transplanted or part of the Chamber of Commerce, you call it Hampton Roads.
Right.
So you do a reenactment of where you're going for on the Old Town historic walk, or what is it?
Well, we really don't like to call it reenactments because with more of a reenactment, you're actually acting out a scene.
Okay.
This is
So we don't need
that
this.
is mostly put together all by us, so we call ourselves.
Okay, nothing about the reenactment.
Entertainers.
Okay. Education and entertainment.
Exactly. So we put them together and call it educators. And that's exactly what we do. We teach about the characters who we are, and we also entertain
Okay.
a little bit, just.
That I like. We teach about the characters. That's good.
Right.
And when I first said, I was so fascinated when I first got commissioned to play this character because I didn't know that there were actually wealthy black men during the 18th century, let alone to fight in a war and actually, become someone of substance. Because as I said, when you went to school, all you learned really about slavery was you was born, you was owned, you was sold. And that
was pretty much it. That was my understanding of it. So to find this out, I was very fascinated by it, and I think other people are fascinated by it too. What I have come to find out is that it seems like more whites are more interested in it than more blacks, and I really don't understand why that is. But it just seems like
Well, maybe because, like you said, all you have ever been exposed to was a negative.
So let's
right, exactly.
let's end that with I don't really understand why that is.
Try to follow that trend, you know?
Right.
You know?
Right, and that's why it's so important to me to get into the schools, to come here to play the role of Nat Turner.
Okay.
You know, you trust me, confidence in me, and I love that.
Too much deserved.
Thank you so much, and I love that, and to fulfill this role. And although I must say, I didn't know that much about it. And I didn't know much about what
You were born and raised in this area.
Yeah, absolutely. That's another thing in a minute that I want to talk about. But I didn't know that much about him. And as I started getting more into his character, when I first got here, I must admit, I thought pretty much just like everybody else did. He was this animal monster who slayed innocent people. And you know, I think that was everybody's interpretation of if people know the just the upper layer of the story. But you know, being learning about his character and learning who he was, you know, it's kind. I feel kind of different about it now. I do believe that he felt like, you know, this was a purpose for him. And even though people think that he was so inhumane, if you read the story, you will find his humanity. And it's crazy. And it's crazy that you would actually find that in this piece. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy that I'm getting to learn more about him. I'm happy to know that, you know, he wasn't some monster that decided to wake up one day and say, oh, I'm gonna kill all the white people. You know, it was more to him.
So at the beginning of this process,
Yeah, pretty much.
was he a magnet
No.
or a hero? That would have been
I don't need most of that.
Oh, most definitely. I would most definitely say that.
There was one bit in there that I
definitely
wanted,
say that.
where he's like, I was happy to find out that he was not just wanting to kill white people or something.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's kind. I feel kind of different about it now. I do believe that he felt like, you know, this was a purpose for him. And even though people think that he was so inhumane, if you read the story, you will find his humanity.
You will find his
And
humanity.
it's crazy. And it's crazy that you would actually find that in this piece. So I'm happy about that. I'm happy that I'm getting to learn more
You
about
find
him.
his
I'm happy to know
humanity.
that, you know, he wasn't.
I'm happy about that.
Okay, so you want when he first started talking about him to the end to that.
Yeah, I want you find his humanity, and then he says something else, but I don't want that. He said you find his humanity, and then I want the next line to be, I was happy about that.
Some monster that decided to wake up one day and say, oh, I'm gonna kill all the white people. You know, it was more to him.
So if at the beginning of this process, if I said to you, was he a magnet or a hero, that would be a different answer.
Oh, most definitely. I would have most definitely said that. I would have definitely most said that. Because as I said, all I knew about him was that he was a person that slayed innocent people.
Right.
And that,
Right there.
I would definitely say that. But learning more about him.
You going down?
Yeah, the fact that he would have said madman, but then the more he learned about him,
you know, I can't really come to that conclusion now. You know, like I said, I found out his humanity. And I also found out that, you know, he really did thought this was a true purpose. Now, no one is condoning killing anyone. And, you know, no one is condoning, you know, death. I think that's what people get confused at when they say this. Are you condoning death? Are you condoning killing? No, it's not about death. To me, it's not about death. It's about killing. It's about purpose he felt like he had to fulfill. And no one can tell him that, you know, oh no, that wasn't it. This is what he felt. You know, I don't have. You can't tell me how I feel. I can't tell you how you feel.
Right.
So you can't tell him what he thought, what he felt his purpose was.
Right, right,
So that's how I'm looking at it on it now.
right.
And like I said, I'm so happy that I learned more about it to, you know, to give it a perspective.
But, you know, I mean, your words are just really exactly what the mission for Juneteenth is.
So basically, that can end with what he just said.
Folks under-
He said something, I'm really happy to find something.
Confused that when they say this, are you condoning death? Are you condoning killing? No, it's not about death. To me, it's not about death. It's about killing. It's about purpose he felt like he had to fulfill. And no one can tell him that, you know, oh no, that wasn't it. This is what he felt. You know, I don't have. You can't tell me how I feel. I can't tell you how you feel.
Right.
So you can't tell him what he thought, what he felt his purpose was.
Right, right,
So that's how I'm looking at it on it now.
right.
And like I said, I'm so happy that I learned more about it to, you know, to give it a perspective.
But, you
Right
know,
there, right
your
in perspective.
words are just really exactly what the mission for Juneteenth is. It is to help, you know, folks understand the wounds of healing from the wounds of slavery without shame or blame. You know,
Right.
a lot of times there is a lot of shame associated with talking about that term. I grew up here too, and to say his name was Lucifer.
Right.
You know, and it was not, you know, to be anything proud of.
Right.
You know, it was something to be ashamed of, and that's not helpful.
No, it isn't. And
Yeah.
not when you're trying to learn all that you can. I hate this generalized idea that people have that if you talk about, you know, slavery, or you talk about anything that has to do with, you know, blacks being in the past tense, for some reason you're supposed to feel guilty or shame. And I don't know why that comes with that. I don't need people to feel guilty. I don't need people to feel shame. I just need you to be understanding.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
and that's all that it's about. So I don't understand why people you know, relate that to shame or guilt or anything like that. I don't want whites to feel shame. I don't want them to feel guilty. I just need you to be understanding and to know that this is what it is and that this happened. Then yes, it happened, it was the past, and it was the past. And a lot of people say then why dwell on it? Because for some reason, even in 2020 going on 2021, the past keeps reverting itself back around.
Okay, right there, right there.
Like as I said,
I want that block of like the past is the past and 2021. Can you back up just for a second, just like 2 seconds, so I can see, make sure that I isolate the right thing.
we actually had an epidemic. Saying why people you know, relate that to shame or guilt or anything like that. I don't want whites to feel shame.
Right there. I don't want
them
whites to
feel
feel, yeah.
I just need you to be understanding and to know that this is what it is and that this happened. Then yes, it happened, it was the past, and it was the past. And a lot of people say then why dwell on it? Because for some reason, even in 2020 going on 2021, the past keeps reverting itself back around.
Right there.
Today.
Yeah.
Like as I said, we actually had an epidemic in this country of whites calling the police on blacks for various things, for the most simplest things. Barbecuing, you know, laying on the bench.
Bird watching.
Yeah, laying on the bench at a college.
Right.
How is that possible? If you just
mundane things
right.
are becoming crimes.
right, and so I mean seriously, that's what kills me about people. I'm not trying to bring back a revolution of black, or I'm not trying to sit here and say, you know, blacks don't do anything wrong. what I am trying to say is that if you can't clearly look at something and see it for what it is, just because you don't want to deal with the harsh reality of it, something's wrong.
Yes.
And that's all I'm saying. You know, to me, right is right, wrong is wrong. And with me, I'm never really been a gray area kind of person. I think that's what a lot of people really don't like about me. You don't see the gray, I don't. Right is right, wrong is wrong. And you can't tell me that the stuff that you're seeing out here when it comes to African Americans, you can't sit there and say, oh, well, they deserve it, or it was right. So,
Yeah, now breaking down the stereotypes and.
Right.
Systemic racism is ingrained in the fabric of this nation. And
Right.
so it's hard for a person to look inward and to understand how they have benefited.
Right.
Or, somehow the system, is unfair. But some
Yeah, I don't
people
need any
really
of this.
I've a little bit back in my life years. It's like we both are drunk in the river, but you're going in a direction where the tide is going.
mm-hmm.
And I'm on the side where I have to fight against that.
Right.
And so we're in the same body of water, but we're going in different directions because one of us is being carried by the tide and the other is being, forced to move against the tide.
Right.
And so it looks equal in a lot of ways, but it's not.
But it's not.
Right.
But it's not. And that's pretty much how America is as a whole when you come to any race.
Exactly.
And that's what people need to understand. Sometimes you're going to take easy roads to life, sometimes you're going to take hard ones. And I guess it all depends on how you deal with them.
Well, I mean, and also, I think it's systemic racism that we're dealing with, so.
We can cut to the end of that.
We can figure that.
Oh, especially our justice system. I mean, 67, when I found out that 67% of cops in America were all white. You cannot tell me that's one heck of a big coincidence.
Right.
I'm serious. 67%? Are you serious? I think it's like what, 12% are minorities or so.
Right.
So
the numbers are staggering.
Right.
In terms of wealth income, in equity, in terms of college rates,
Right.
in terms of training, it's not, and in terms of this virus.
Right.
That is killing a majority of Black folks, people of color, poor folks. It is stunning.
Is today Wednesday or Thursday?
We need to.
Is today Wednesday or Thursday?
Thursday.
That
Ooh,
it's a
okay.
crisis that we're dealing with.
Absolutely.
We need to, quickly get ourselves on top
Let's
of
do it.
As I said before, if you actually do read it, read the excerpts from it, read his confession. Now I must say, this is from the words of one man, Thomas Gray. So I'm pretty sure that
Yeah, I mean, he definitely is a
Right.
biased narrator. And,
Right.
So sometimes, but
Yeah, we
I
don't need any of
more
this.
In terms of chronology, that's
Right.
everything is pretty, much added from that terms voice there.
Right. So if you do read it, like I said, if you really do read it, and I mean actually read and study it like I have, because if you don't, you're gonna miss it. And that's what I said. You're gonna miss those moments of his humanity.
Right.
And to actually see that maybe, this is what he thought, this was his purpose, this was his calling.
Maybe he was a prophet.
Maybe he was absolutely. So, and like I said, if you just skim through it and if you don't have an open mind, you're gonna miss it. But I hate coming to this and open my mind. I always come to everything with an open mind. And as I said, when I was at the beginning of this, we had a conversation. I didn't think that much about it. Now, it's a completely different story.